Hello, people of God. I will let you guys come in. I won't call this a pop up, but it's kind of like a pop up, but not really. um, we were supposed to have a meeting on tonight for some of you. Wanted to come out. You should have gotten an email from me, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of revelation. Instead of me just coming out and talking about a mentorship program, I'll give you a little bit of revelation. We'll talk about the mentorship program, and then I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna get some work done. I'm going to get up here and I'm going to get me some work done. I pray you guys have had an amazing day. I'm on my website trying to get this link together. All right. On my website trying to get this link. As you guys come in, do me a favor. Be sure to like, share. Let me know that you are in the room. Let me know that you are in the room. Hey. Glad God bless you. Let me know that you are in the room. Hey, beautiful. Hey, beautiful. You're awesome. Hey, gorgeous. How are you? Hey. Hey, Mr. Rogers. You guys are amazing. I'm so glad to see y'all coming up in here. I'm not gonna be on here long, and I know I say that, but honestly, the purpose of me coming on here, I'm gonna be transparent, was to make sure because we were supposed to have our meeting on tonight for those who wanted to join my mentorship program. So we did have quite a few registrants. I sent out the emails to them, but I want to do for the next couple of days to promote it because I canceled the meeting on tonight and I pushed it back to Saturday at 9 p.m. And that's for people that are interested in joining the mentorship program. You'll have the opportunity to come in to listen to what the mentorship program is about. And then at the same time to ask whatever questions you may have. And then we'll go from there. And then if you are qualified, you'll receive an email with an invitation to join. Now, understand it is a paid thing. So don't think that I'm saying invitation to join for free. It is a paid thing, but I've learned to not allow everybody into the program. It took me a few years to finally get the message. I think I got it now, but because it's such an amazing program or what have you. So I'm going to post that. I'm going to post a link. This is the link for those of you who want to be a part of that meeting. Okay. That's a link. I just posted it up. I don't know why there's a V on there. That was my bad. Give me a second. There we go. There you go. That's the right one. It should have a V on there. That's the link for those of you who are interested in being a part of the meeting. Do not join this meeting if you can't afford the program. If you don't want to be a part of the program, don't join it to be nosy. Don't join it to say, don't come up in there and say, oh, that was interesting. As soon as I get my coins together, in the next 6 months, I should be ready. Don't do that because we don't want to have a bunch of people in there that are just spectating. All right. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to talk a lot about this because I really want to get the people in who want to be a part of the program. And because I really believe in the program and I believe it's awesome. But I'm going to talk about this Black Diamond. I love me some you. Thank you. God bless you. I'm going to talk about this. You can't marry anybody because I don't want to just come on here. I'm not a promotion kid, right? I'm not the promoter. Sister Christy, we just came out of a meeting talking about you. I mentioned you in the meeting. So just so you'll know, you'll likely get an email. We're inviting students that were a part of Vision that even if they're no longer part of Vision, if they left honorably to come on a cruise with us, if you guys are interested or what have you, because we want to have a lot of fun. So that's the thing. It's more going to be kind of a reunion thing. But let me go ahead and get in it. I love you as well. And I gotta don't let me forget, shoot me an email. Don't let me forget to send you the ISBN information because I keep forgetting. I got a lot on my plate. My mind is all over the place as it relates to stuff I'm trying to keep up and catch up on. I definitely got to get better, and I have to go ahead and get. I think I'm gonna have to have assistance in so many different areas of my life. But anyhow, that's the link. I'm gonna post it again. If you are wanting to be a part of the mentorship program, that is the link. I would love for you to join. It's not a registration link, it's an interest form. It's you saying, I'm interested. I want to be a part of that meeting on Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time so I can hear your heart about the program. And at the same time, I can ask whatever questions I have and what have you. So like I said, if you're interested, you will get an invitation link if we decide that you are ready for mentorship. Not everybody's ready for mentorship. And that's the thing that I had to learn over these years was that not everybody is ready for mentorship. Some people need to be sitting in the congregation and getting basic Bible study. They're not ready for mentorship. Okay. So If you registered and you didn't get an email, let me know. It probably went to your spam folder. So be sure to check your spam folder. We're gonna do the meeting on Saturday. So I'm gonna come out. I'm coming out tonight. I'm gonna come out again on tomorrow and do another message like this to invite people to come out. Because I want to make sure that everybody that follows me has had the opportunity to hear or see the message, and they have the opportunity to join away. So what I wanted to talk about is this is more so for the purpose filled person, the builder. This is for the builder. I'm kind of letting you guys in on a conversation I had with a sister in Christ of mine earlier today. I was making fun of her. I was making fun of her for her choice of the man she had once said I do to. She's no longer with this guy, what have you. But I was like, why? Or what have you. So we started talking about purpose and we started talking about marriage or what have you. And one of the things that I've seen consistently, and when I say I've seen this thing consistently, I mean it's a virus here in the United States of America, is that a lot of times people of purpose, people who have callings, people who have anointings, you're so you're so you're so determined to be normal that you go after normal people and you try to get married to normal people, not realizing that normal people don't understand extraordinary gifts, not understanding that I think about some of the people that have reached out to me that I've counseled, and hey, I'm working on this project, but my spouse keep giving me hell every time I type in my book. Every time I start writing, he's starting to fight, she's starting to fight. It never fails. Every time I start doing this, when I'm consistent and going to church, they're doing this or they're doing that. And I've always wondered, literally, it brought me to a place where I started speaking to God about it. I've always wondered, why do we marry warfare? Why do we do that to ourselves? And it's one of those things that I've seen so consistently that it made me say, God, because I'm not just talking about people. I've done that myself, right? Because a lot of times our issue is, even though greatness is within us and we are called, we're chosen, and we're all of those things, one thing I believe is that a lot of us don't see ourselves. We don't know ourselves. We don't. I'll tell you what God said to me. What God said to me today. He said the problem is they have not learned to love themselves. Y'all, do me a favor, like and share. This is going to be a long message, but it's going to be revelatory and it's going to help you. What God said to me is that a lot of you have not gotten to the place, until you love yourself, you should not be dating. Until you love yourself, you should not be courting. Until you come to love yourself. Now, the first someone you're supposed to love is God, right? You're supposed to love God, but you have to get to the point where you love yourself. If you don't love it, if you don't love yourself, you will always go after somebody who doesn't have the wherewithal to love you. If you don't love yourself, you will always go after people who don't have the ability to love you, who are too busy still trying to love themselves, but their love for themselves is immature. Their love for themselves is still a baby, which causes them to be self-centered. They become selfish, and now you spend the great part of your life. You spend a great part of your youth, your virtue, your energy, the time when you're the strongest. You spend a great part of that fighting. Let me know if I'm wrong. You spend a great part of your youth fighting. You spend a great part of, I think about me, myself, my 20s and 30s fighting. I spent my 20s and 30s defending myself, arguing, 20s and 30s fighting. The time when I was at my prime, when I had all that energy, the time where, if I could go back and I had the mind that I have right now, and I could put it in that young, energetic girl, I think about the damage I could have done to the kingdom of darkness. I think about the stuff that I could have done, but I spent my 20, and I found that this is consistent all across the board. Not just in the world, but in the church. We spend our 20s and 30s. A lot of us, not everybody, we spend our 20s and 30s in the middle of a fight. In the middle of a fight, dealing with trauma. And the crazy thing, me and my sister Christ, we were talking about this today. We were talking about the difference, and this is more of a discussion, guys. We were talking about the difference between men and women. And I told her, I said, you know, the thing that annoys me about men, the thing that annoys me is that I said it's very rare to come across a man who has been single for a while. And I said, that's what I want for my husband. I want a man to come after me that's been single. You know, he went on intentionally single. He sat back and said, you know what, let me heal. Because I'm somebody's husband. I'm God's son and I'm somebody's husband. Let me heal. Let me be intentional so I can be. I said, I don't want, Sister Rose Ray, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. I said, I don't want to sit up there and be like, so how long you been so when was the last time you was in a relationship? What's this month? May? February. Because if you don't know, when a person comes, y'all gotta hear me when I say this. If you don't know, if a person comes fresh out of a relationship, that soul tie between them and that other person is still going to be there. And I'll say to you what I said to my sister in Christ. They'll likely cheat on you or disrespect you for that person because the soul tie is still there. Now, in the beginning, you're going to get all of their attention because you're new. You got that new car smell. In the beginning, they're going to be all excited about you. You're going to be a distraction from the pain, a distraction from the frustration. You'll be a distraction. But as soon as things mellow off and between y'all and that high feeling starts to subside, and I'm not saying that you start disliking a person, but when you start going back to this place called normal, right? When as soon as all of those hormones and everything start to settle, then when the dust settles, that's when they start thinking, and this is when people start counting the costs. And they start thinking, I miss what we'll say Fanny. I always keep trying to think of a name for a woman. And I got so many with female followers. I'm always like, I've seen that name. Every time I have a name pop in my head, I'm like, I've seen that name. I've seen that name. I've seen that name. But I wonder what Fanny's doing. And y'all have heard me say this. Y'all got to hear me. I know most people don't hear women. To the men, you can apply this to you as well. But I want to tell you a little secret about men. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it with my chest. Men are not wired to. We're not wired to break up as humans. Period. But men are designed to conquer. And once they conquer something, it is hard for their brain to conceptualize that that's no longer yours. That the only way you will get a man to really compute that is if you disrespect him. If you disrespect him through cheating, you disrespect him. A lot of times he'll compute it a lot better. Let me see if I can get some better light. I gotta use this other camera. I gotta stop playing. Only way you're gonna get him to compute that, you get him to get it in his head, is typically if you got to come out and disrespect him in some cases, right? Even then, because there are some guys out there. Oh God, do I want to go there? There are some guys out there. What's a pandemic today? I'm sorry. It's not even an epidemic. It's a pandemic. It's a pandemic that there are a lot of men and women that seem to be attracted to folks that are disrespectful. Like they like the challenge of where you at? I told you I'm at the store. You at the store, but I don't hear no cashiers. I don't hear nothing in the background. You have to get to the point that you come to understand that you are a purpose-filled creature. You got to get to the point where you realize that you are a purpose-filled creature. That means that, well, how long is a good time frame when you first break up? However long it takes you to heal and stop thinking about the person. It varies from person to person, but however long it takes you to heal and stop looking at the person's profile, to stop texting the person, however long it takes you to take accountability, however long it takes you to realize what happened in a relationship, how long it takes you to fully close that door. I think with women, a lot of times women have trouble closing the door between the man and the past. If a woman comes out of a relationship, a lot of times she has trouble closing the door, regardless of what the man did to her. Women have trouble closing the door. Men, on the other hand, are a little bit different. Men a lot of times, and not all men, but men a lot of times will jump straight into, like, once they start noticing that the relationship is starting to go a little bit shaky, many cases they already have somebody else kind of picked out. They almost always have somebody else kind of picked out. And I'm not talking about mature men. Realistically speaking, it's the culture, and I've said this, it's the culture of the United States for us to remain babes in Christ. I taught that to my students yesterday. It is a culture. It is normal here. If you step outside of being a babe in Christ, you become abnormal. You become super normal, and you're not going to fit in. It is a culture of America to remain babes in Christ. And so that's one thing a babe does. A babe looks for a pacifier. And so when we're hurting, for example, if I get in a relationship and it breaks up and I'm going through the process of hurting, I don't need a pacifier. What I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to cry it out. That's my purging, right? That's me going through deliverance from the soul tie. Now I'm supposed to allow that. But a lot of times what happens is you have people that are not going through the purge, because immediately they go and call somebody else. Immediately they start pursuing somebody else, and they distract themselves from the pain. And they don't realize that as soon as you distract yourself from the pain, yes, the pain subsides, the pain goes away and all that. But it's like alcohol. As soon as you sober up, the pain comes back. As soon as you sober up, the pain comes back, because then you find yourself looking, and then you find yourself comparing. You know, when I got married the second time, I was broken, young, silly. I wasn't completely healed from the first dude. I thought I was, but I wasn't completely healed from the first dude. I can talk about all the crazy stuff that they did, but I wasn't completely healed from the first dude. And the way I found that out was when we were fighting. I found myself comparing them all the time. I found myself comparing them. And I had this sister in Christ that I was talking to on the phone all the time. And I was just, talking to her whenever things were going, wrong or what have you. I would tell her what I was going through. Like I said, I was young and immature. And I'll never forget when she said, Tiffany, and I'll make up a name for my first ex. We'll call him Roger. She said, "You're not over Roger." And I said, and pride kicked in. I said, "Yes, I am. Yeah, I am. I was over him in the retrospect where I didn't want him. I wasn't over him in a retrospect where I had healed from him, where I had healed from our relationship. And because I hadn't fully healed in the areas that he abandoned, or, those areas, like, I'm trying to find a way to describe it. Not the areas that he abandoned. You're connected to your spouse in so many areas, right? And not every man's going to connect to you the same way. So all the areas that he was actually feeling and doing great in, when he left, all those areas that left kind of vacant. When the next man comes in, he kind of attaches in certain areas, but those places that were not filled, that's the time I would complain. Does that make sense? So the places that my ex used to feel that the new one wasn't feeling, even though he was far better as it relates to finances. He was far better as it relates, I can't even say integrity. But he was far better in so many retrospects, right? Even integrity, he had a little bit more integrity, but at the same time, I found myself comparing the two of them. I found myself getting really frustrated, because I'm just like, with the second one, he wasn't protective over me. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing. That's a big thing for me, because growing up, I didn't have the protection of parents, right? And so for me, somebody that comes in and that's not protective of me, I won't even tolerate him. I can't. I won't even tolerate him. So he wasn't protective. The first one was kinda, I would say, I can't even say he was fully protective, because not gonna go there. But the second, he wasn't protective at all. He wasn't protective at all. He just pretty much let his family, really one person in his family, say whatever she wanted to say about me. And he pretty much just told me, just wash it off, just shake it off. And I did not like that. And I found myself saying, now Roger wouldn't have played that. Roger did not play when his family came. If his family came out to me, if his family did this, Roger didn't play about that. He would set the tone. He like, hey, that's my wife. I don't play. If you got something to say about her, you say it to my face, and you're banned from my house. You don't call my house no more, what have you. He will put his foot down. So I'm saying that to say, one thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you are healed. And to my brothers, you got to give yourself time to heal. Everybody, when you come out of a relationship, needs therapy. You got to give yourself time to heal. You got to give yourself time to take accountability. You got to give yourself time, because if you don't do that, the only seat you have available is the one the last girl missed. The last girl emptied out, and you'll still be addicted to her habits. Consequently, the new woman comes in, and you're expecting her to fill this woman's shoes, and it's going to make her feel like, sometimes you can have a woman that's better than the one that left, but you don't know it because you're trying to make the one that you currently have fit the shoes of the one that you didn't have, not realizing that she had tissue in her shoes. She had big shoes to fill, but it was tissue in her shoes. I've seen this consistently. You're too busy trying to. It's like, for a lot of guys, it's just pretty much just replacing. Women nowadays too, it's just replacing rather than saying, let me figure out who I am and what I need, because I thought this was what I wanted. I thought this woman, or I thought this man was a good fit for me. Let me find out what I need. This is why I get into this. Listen, if you're listening, give me some ears. Show me some ears. When you find out what you need, it makes it easier to date and not date. When you find out what you need, for me, for example, I'm a builder, consistent. God got me building, building, building. Because of the way that God wired me to build, I can't marry no anybody. I can't marry anybody, because if I did, if I got with a guy that just pretty much chill and he just relaxed, and that can be good if he's not competitive. But if he's not secure within himself, he could feel emasculated. You just released another book. You wrote another song. You launched another movie, baby. And then he'll start using his authority to control me, or to attempt to control me. We gotta stop spending so much money. I know you want to shoot that movie, but we need to push that movie back. What we not about to do, what we not about to do, it don't it's not to say I won't listen to my husband, it's not to say I won't submit or surrender. It is to say, when I see jealousy, when I see competition and comparison, insecurity, I'm designed to come against that. I'm designed to sit back and say, no, because you don't mind spending the money when it's on video games and other stuff. You don't mind spending the money. You just don't want me to invest it in my purpose, which tells me that you're feeling insecure. And you got to fix that. You got to understand, there are some people, men and women alike, many are called, but few are chosen. You want to understand that scripture? Many are called, but few are chosen. Let's go back to um, when King Xerxes sat back and called for all the virgins, all the pretty young virgins of Persia, was it Persia, to come before him, because he wanted to replace Vashti. Now, he had plenty of concubines he could have chose from, but no, he had to get him a queen. He wanted a different type of woman, not a concubine, a queen. So many of them, all the pretty young virgins in that province, were called, but only one was chosen. Now, many of them were chosen, let's get real. Some of them were chosen for concubines, because you got to understand, everybody that came to the castle that day did not get a night with the king. Everybody that came to the castle, let's just say that there were 875 women that came to the castle. Of that 875, King Xerxes probably picked 200 of them. He probably picked 200 of them. But in that 200, now many of them were called. The 600 and something of them went home. But there were 200 and something that were chosen. They were called, but only 200 were chosen. That's why you can be anointed. You can be called by God, but you're not chosen by him, because you're too selfish, because you won't stop going out here and sleeping around. You won't just surrender to the call that's on your life. You won't just say, yes, God. You can be called and mess around and not get chosen. You can get called. So he calls them up in there, and then let's say 200 of them are selected. Those 200 got a night with the king. Now, you got to understand, with them, they couldn't go back to being normal. They couldn't go back home, because once they had the night, once he chose them, once they went into the king's chambers, their law was very similar to the law of Judaism. Once they went into the chamber with the king for the night, The eunuch couldn't ask them, did he hit it? It was assumed when they said, okay, Sister Becky, it's your night with the king. So just get yourself ready. They couldn't ask Becky what happened in that room. Becky had to get ready. Becky had to listen to somebody, and she went into the room with the king. And then the king did what the king did. Either he hit it or whatever. But she stuck. And the next day, when a eunuch came and got her out of the room, guess where she went? To the concubine's chambers. So that meant that even though she wasn't necessarily chosen, she was still called, which means that she still had an assignment, which means she had to designate herself. She had to go to the concubine's chambers and she became property of the king. So that means that even if God doesn't choose you, you are still anointed. You still have an assignment. You may not be able to walk with God as close as God desired you to walk with God because you have not chosen him. You chose your flesh over him. But God can tell you, hey, okay, go back over there. But I want you to prophesy. You're probably I want you to do this. I want you to do that, or what have you. So your call is going to fit the size of your obedience. Does that make sense? Because you wouldn't surrender, because you kept trying to figure out how do I balance this? I got flesh over here. I want to drop it like it's hot. I want to do this, but at the same time, I don't want to forsake the call on my life. And God said to protect your mind, because you're lukewarm, I will spit you out of my mouth. To protect your mind, to protect you, I won't even choose you. Because to choose you is the same as to choose you for battle. Y'all thought that did you really think that being chosen meant that you were going to be famous and get a lot of money, and God was going to choose you have a snatch waist and sparkly gowns and stand up on the stage, and you're going to have the best lace front wig in the whole wide world? Did you really think that? No, when God chooses you, he chooses you for battle. When he chooses you for battle. God chose me. I'll say this. I was thinking about this. I've noticed that most builders, a lot of times we can deal with anxiety. We have our moments where we can deal with depression. We can deal with a lot of different things because we have so much to do, and there's like this small window to do it, and a lot of times we'll fall off. We got all these expectations, all these different demands on us, so we are literally always pushing up, and that's our weight. We're always having That's our exercise, right? I've noticed that just about every builder that I know has said, hey, Tiff, I'm not good today. I think about a sister in Christ of mine, and I'm just like, it's a part of being a builder. Can you imagine having to deal with that and then being married to somebody who puts an additional weight on you? Can you imagine dealing with the weight of your calling, the weight of your assignment, having to push all of that stuff out, and then having somebody that's giving you hell on top of it? That's sitting there complaining. You going to church again? You doing this again? Every time I look up, that. I have to do. I got to be about my Father's business. I'm literally designed for this. Like, if I stop doing what God told me to do, I literally fall into depression. While you'll be sitting there smiling, talking about baby, 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 and you're going to go out of your way to try to make me happy, but you won't be able to make me happy because I would be an ice cube in a microwave. You wouldn't have the ability to make me happy. Then you'll get frustrated and start talking about everything I do ain't enough because you pulled me outside of my purpose, and I need to be in my assignment. I need to be, I have to, I'm pulled. Like there's this pull to build, and I don't feel like building. I don't, you think I chose this? I didn't. Most people who are chosen didn't want to be chosen. Let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it real. But at the same time, you come to realize that, hey, this is the call on my life. And if I'm not exacting the call on my life, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I have hell on earth to pay for it because I start feeling some type of way. And I need you to understand that. I need you to get it in your mind that it's not personal. That's why I've learned that you got to understand, you have to be with somebody. That's why I say you can't marry anybody. Somebody who understands that, understands your wiring, understands your call, understands your assignment. If they see that you're heavy, you're under pressure, they know how to pray for you. They know how to intercede. They know how to talk you up. They don't come and turn into a whole anchor and a butt at the same time. They don't come and sit up there and be like, "Why you laying in the bed?" Dude, please, not today. Just laying in the bed or what have you. Let's get up and go somewhere. I got invited over to such and such them house, and they want us to come over. I've been busy. Like I need time. I told them we were coming. I told them we were coming. You can take your tail on over there, but you're not gonna watch me get up out this bed. I've just told you, because you could be wrestling right then and there, wrestling with sadness, depression, or pressure. There are different types of pressures, and sometimes some pressures feel like depression, but they're not always depression. There are different types of pressure. Now you got that person standing in front of you, and they're making that moment all about them. Then, and then if you give in to the pressure and you go out there and you tapped out, you tired. Now they want to be all chatty and happy, baby. Why you acting like that? I kept your receipt. I'm gonna return you to sender. Because you don't understand that I just got through pouring out. I did this. I've been pouring out all week long. I'm tired. I ain't see you. I had to go to a job. You don't hear me complaining. Try you getting into your assignment as opposed to whatever it is that you feel is more important, because doing stuff mentally taps you out more than doing things physically. Anybody on here can tell me that I'm lying. Why you think I pulled out a one-on-one coaching, one-on-one counseling, or what have you? That taps you out. That taps you out. You got all these people that are going through stuff or what have you. That can be tapping you out. And at the same time, everybody don't have your schedule. Everybody's sitting up there filling out the form. Talk about 8 in the morning. I go to bed at 6. I go to bed at 6, 5 or 6. I gotta set my alarm to get up in 2 hours to get on the phone. Then I can't go right back to sleep. So about 11 o'clock, now I'm tired again. But then I got to get back up at 1:30 because I got another call. I'm saying that to say, before you build a thing, count the cost. But before you count the cost, know who you are. Before you know who you are, you got to know who God is. When I tell you, if you know who you are, you will know who you're not supposed to be with. I'm not saying you'll be perfect at it. I'm saying if you know who you are, if you know the call on your life, if you know how you're wired, if you come to understand that, hey, for me, for example, the 9 years I've been single, you know what I learned about me? I learned that I need time for myself. I learned that. I didn't know that at first. Literally, I didn't give myself time. I came out of my mom's house. I went straight into a relationship. I never gave myself time. I didn't give myself time to get to know Tiffany. I didn't give myself time to get to know how I'm wired or what have you. I was just out there responding. And sometimes men were getting a not so nice response from me because I needed time. And then I have this dude putting pressure on me when I needed time. I needed time. At the same time, I didn't understand this whole concept of introvert, extrovert, what have you. And then you have this whole grown dude sitting up here talking about, let's go here, let's go there, let's go here. And then I'm like, I don't want to go. Then I feel like I look stuck up to the family. I feel like I look stuck up to the friends because I don't want to go. And I couldn't understand it. Why don't I want to be around these people? It ain't got nothing to do with them personally. Sometimes it did. But for the most part, I just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it. I want to be at my house. I kind of plan today to just hang out with you, dude, but you want to go hang out outside. That's your problem. Go on out there, but I'm not going out there with you. There's some there's a person, somebody out there that's for you that does, they will not be they won't be against you or that they won't be against your why. Then there are some people out there that, hey, they're too busy caught up in their fantasies and how they think relationships should look, and they looking at Uncle Bubba marriage and Uncle Earl marriage and nephew um Saul's marriage or his girlfriend, and they say, yeah, I want me somebody like that. I want to have something like that. Not realizing that, and I'm gonna say this, and I pray this don't sound arrogant. They married to normal women. Them women, they not called or chosen. They don't have any other assignment in the earth but to get saved and surrender. That's it. They don't understand any of the stuff that I'm feeling, what I go through, the level of responsibility, integrity, and conviction that I have. They don't know none of that. They at the party, they got a 40 in their hand, up there drinking and all that. And you want me to come stand out there and just be like, I was thinking about this today. I said, I can't be married to a man who exposes me to the very demons that I have to cast out. I got to be sitting up there watching him in my living room, a bunch of folks that ain't trying to get saved. And I'm looking at just demons, demons, demons. My atmosphere being changed by the minute. 40. I'm sorry. You can tell I don't watch TV. You can tell the era that I used to watch TV in. They don't call it a 40 no more, I think. Forgive me. I don't know what they call it anymore. I know back in the day they would have them big old drinks and they call them. They said, this is for my homies. And they pour it. They pour 40. And y'all can tell that I haven't, you can tell I don't listen to secular music. I think it becomes really evident. Um, I don't watch a lot of TV. That TV been off for months, for real. A talking equal 40. You know what? I never really been into alcohol. I never have been into alcohol. The one time I remember having a 40, it was a funny story. If you tell me to tell the story, I'll tell it. But it was a funny story where I'm pretty sure I told this story before, but I was probably about my worst years were 18 to 20. My worst years, I was just a hot mess of a person. But I had gotten upset with a guy, and he had bought me a 40. He had bought me a 40. I got a little bit intoxicated, and somebody said, "Tell it." Okay, I'll tell it. I'll try to keep it quick so I can get back into the lesson. Um, I wasn't dating this guy. Let me be clear. I wasn't dating him. Nothing ever happened between me and him. No kiss, no sex, no nothing. Nothing happened. When I met him, he I don't want to give out identifying information, but his father used to be a well-known political figure. I'll say that. He was biracial. Well, the thing that I remember about him that I did not like about him, I met him. I don't remember why I met this dude at, but he used to have a piece of hair that he would let hang up in his face. And I thought that was so weird. It was just the weirdest thing. I wasn't attracted to that or what have you. And he had the deepest, I feel like I'm describing this person, and people in my town can be like, oh, I know who that is. He had the strongest Southern accent that you could ever hear. So I remember him trying to talk to me. I was probably 18 years old. Wasn't 18 or 20, I don't know. I wasn't that good of a human being. Um, we exchanged information with me telling him consistently that I told him. Did I tell him I had a man, or I told him I wasn't ready for a relationship? Either way, I pushed him. I pushed him. I kept him from trying to get in a relationship with me and what have you. Well, I tried to keep him from trying to get in a relationship with me. He was not a bad looking dude. I Israel, you own it. I think you own it. But long story short, what ends up happening with this dude is, let me see if I can tell a short version without me going down this long rabbit hole. What ends up happening with this dude is I talked to him. He would come visit me at my mom's house. I go visit him, but I would reiterate that ain't nothing going down between me and you. We not getting into a relationship. I think I told him that I wasn't ready for a relationship. That's what I think I told him. I don't know if I told him I had a man. I think I told him I wasn't ready for a relationship. I go around him. He would always buy me gifts. Like he would try to spoil me. Like he was always trying to throw money at me. Oh, what have you? And I told my cousin from Louisiana. Now my cousin was nowhere near saved. I had a little bit of conviction. She had zero. So I went down to Louisiana, got my cousin one time. What have you? I remember he come over, he see my cousin. He was like, I got a friend I can introduce your cousin to. I said, okay. He bring his friend over. This dude was flamboyantly gay. He bring the dude over. Dude is flamboyant. I'm talking about. He like, hey, how you doing? And it was the funniest incident because the guy, he was just like crossing his legs like a woman and everything. And I'm just like, what the heck? And there was this other dude that was a male friend of mine. He knew them. He was like, he used to call everybody cocksuckers. He was like, God dirty, that cocksucker gay. He talking about the guy that was trying to talk to me. So I asked the guy, I was like, are you gay? He was like, no, I have a lot of gay friends, but no, I'm not gay. But the piece in the eye, and then coming around bringing this dude, this dude, I'll never forget. Two things that happened, and I got to push past that because it's just funny stuff. Two things that this dude did. You got to remember, my cousin wasn't saved, and she did not have any type of filter. Beautiful girl, gorgeous, gorgeous girl, no filter whatsoever. They come over, they're sitting in the living room at my mom's house. The guy's sitting on the couch. It's around Christmas time. My mom had this stuffed snowman on her couch. He gets the snowman, puts it in his lap, and it's almost like he grinded the snowman. He's doing his leg. And my cousin said something to him about molesting the snowman. He was like, I'm not. And I'm talking about she's not being nice at all. They ordered the guy that was trying to talk to me, he was trying to spoil me. Like he was just throwing money at me. The other guy, he had just met my cousin. The guy that was trying to date me, he said, are you hungry? I was like, yeah. He said, what do you want? Now I wouldn't say. So free meal for me. I was like, pizza. He said, okay. I'll get you a pizza. He asked the other guy, he was like, you want to go get the pizzas for him? And he was like, and he said, ask her what she wants. She told him what she wanted. And he told him to get me a large pizza. And she told him the pizza she wanted because she thought he was going to get her a large as well. So the dude that's trying to talk to me, gives him the money to get me a pizza. And the guy leaves, and my cousin tells him, I think she wanted pepperoni, meat lovers, or something like that. He said, okay. When he came back, he did have lip gloss on. When he came back, the guy that was trying to talk to her, when he came back, he had a large pizza with a personal pan pizza on top of it. My cousin cussed him out. She was so mad because he come back and he's holding a large piece of that person. She said, who baby piece is that? Who little piece is that? He was like, this is for you. And she let loose. And I'm not gonna say we were right. But I laughed. But the story of this guy, the story that I meant to tell, the story I intend to tell, is he wasn't there this day. So the guy that was trying to talk to me, we'll call him Frederick. Frederick was over to my mom's house this particular day. I don't know why I'm telling this story, but Frederick was over my mom's house this particular day. Now, nothing ever gone down between me and Frederick. I was super skinny, still a size 4, probably 3 at the time. Had on this long body dress, this long, skimpy body dress, right? But it was long with the little splits on the side or what have you. Frederick and I in the living room. This day he didn't bring the guy because my cousin pretty much went off on the guy. So my cousin in the back room. My cousin in the back room. And Frederick bought me a 40. He bought me a big old 40. He asked me if I wanted something to drink out on the way. He was like, he bought me 2 40s. He bought one for my cousin. He bought me 2 40s. Obviously, he trying to get me drunk. I ain't dumb. I know what it is. But even then, I didn't like pizza. But I mean, I didn't like not pizza. I didn't like alcohol. But at that time, I was still trying, doing stuff that I saw people my age do. So I drank. I drank. I don't know if I drank the whole thing on the second one. I don't know, but I know I was kind of buzzed. I wasn't drunk out of my mind, but I was good and buzzed. I was good and buzzed to the point where I was stumbling, and I was stumbling over my words, but I still remember the incident. So somehow we were on the couch sitting next to each other. We talking. I get up. This dude grabs me and literally pulls me into his lap. He grabs me and pulls me into his lap. Sister Caitlin, you're awesome. Thank you, sis. God bless you. Grabs me and pulls me into his lap. And I'm trying to get up, but I got too much alcohol in my system. I'm like, Frederick, stop. Frederick, stop. And what he did was he took his arm around one of his arms around me. Now, again, I'm super skinny at this time. He wrapped one of his arms around me, and then he take the other arm. He started pulling my dress up. I'm talking about forcefully. I'm saying, stop, Fred, stop. Frederick wouldn't stop. Before I knew it, now my mom was at home that day. My mom was in her room asleep because she had worked overnight. She had to go to work later that day, I think, when she was off. I don't know. I know she was in her room asleep. I'm sitting up in there. I'm in the living room. This dude got one arm locked on me and I'm like, stop. And then he breathing on my neck. And the next thing you know, I lost my temper. I had a temper. I started cussing. Now I said, mother, let me go. I started screaming at the top of my lungs. I hear my mom, Tiffany, what's going on? Somehow I get up. Oh yeah, I got up. I started swinging on Frederick. I started swinging, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, get out, get out, get out. Now I'm drunk. I'm stumbling, but I'm swinging, and I somehow I don't know how I got this man out the door. I don't know if he ran out the door, what have you, but I got him out my living room door. Got him out the door swinging. I'm still swinging, trying to close the door. Get out! And I'm trying to hold the door shut. The funniest part to me of this story was what my cousin did. It may be anticlimactic, but the funniest part of this story was what my cousin did. My cousin, I'm on the door, trying to push the door shut, saying, get out. He's on the other side of the door, pushing with all his might. Tiffany, I'm sorry. Tiffany, I'm sorry. The funniest thing was what my cousin did. My cousin came walking there so calm. She said, cuz, what's wrong? I'm still over there holding the door. And I just remember looking over at her. And she walked up and she walked up, took her hand out the door, put it on his head and shoved him, pushed the door closed, locked it, and then looked at me and said, cuz, what's wrong? It was the nonchalant way that she did that. She didn't ask any questions. She just saw me holding the door shut, him on the other side. She didn't say what's going on. She didn't try to open the door. She literally just walked up, took her hand, put it on his head, reached out that crack, put it on his head, shoved him, closed the door, locked it, and said, cuz, what's wrong? I have never forgot that. That was the most hilarious thing. Years just shoved the guy, just walked up. She was like, cuz, what's wrong? Just as calm. She had on a long body dress herself. She was like, cuz, what's wrong? Cuz, what's wrong? And she walked up and she was like, cuz, what's wrong? And she walked out, she just pushed him. Cuz, what's wrong? Cuz was wrong, right? Cuz was a fighter for real. That's the reason that she was in Mississippi, was because her mother wanted her around me. I wasn't the best influence, to be honest with you. She was about 2 years younger than me, and her mother wanted her around me. So I had to be 20, but her mother wanted her around me because she got in a lot of fights. Beautiful girl, had a shape that Beyonce would pay for, right? But she didn't know how to deal with haters. Her way of dealing with haters was she'll fight you, she'll break glass over you, she'll cut you with a box cutter. That was a thing. She just walked up and said, cuz, what's wrong? But that, like I said, that story is anticlimactic. I will say he came to my job the next day. The dude showed up at my job the next day. And I was just fiery. He showed up at Walmart. And some girls come over and they're like, Tiffany, there's a guy. There's a guy looking for you. And I'm like, oh. And he comes around, and I remember seeing, I'm short, I see all these balloons up in the air coming around the rack. When I see him, he got a big teddy bear, chocolate and balloons in his hands heading toward me. And I took off walking away. He was like, Tiffany, let me talk to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I took off walking. I'm walking around. I'm walking through the store, walking at a high rate of speed and cussing at the same time. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. But that was a crazy story about him. Ultimately, eventually, he got the message and he went ahead and left me alone. Like a 70s pill. I tell you, I can honestly say, remember we talked about being called and chosen? You want to know the reason why you end up with so many crazy stories is because you are called, you're chosen, but you didn't understand that. So consequently, you found yourself in your dark hours putting yourself in some stupid situations, some crazy situations. I can tell you story after story. That curl had me. I couldn't. I couldn't. I couldn't. That curl, I was like, why you be? I was always just honest. I was like, why you got that thing hanging in your face? Oh, this is just a fashion statement. You should cut it off. You got to hear me when I say this. Who you marry can matter and does matter. Now that I'm a creature of purpose, I'm intentional. Now that I understand, Sister Jasmine, you're beautiful. Thank you, sis. God bless you. Now that I'm a creature of purpose, now that I understand, now that I've done tons of counseling with couples, I get it. I get it. Some of you want to get married before you find out who you are. And you don't know how detrimental that is to your purpose. Because somebody may marry you, marry who you learn to be, marry who you're pretending to be, marry who you're planning to be, marry who you wish you were. But when you start becoming who you are, there's going to be a separation between the two of you because they won't like who you are. Oh wow, Garfield, hello. They'll until you know who you are, you shouldn't be trying to marry anybody because what you're going to do is you're going to marry them off to who you're pretending to be, who you want to be, who you wish you were, who you learned to be. I don't understand the question, Latrell. You got to find out who you are. I said this, and I'm just going to reiterate this. 9 years single, I know a lot about Tiffany nowadays, and I can sit back and say, me, okay, let me just give you clear, transparent insight into, being a builder or what have you. Clear, transparent insight. You can meet people that you're interested in and at the same time know that that's not for you. And the thing is, crucifixion or self-sacrifice or really knowing your purpose is you obeying that voice that you don't want to obey. I couldn't handle that 40. I didn't. I couldn't. I was a buck 05. I was a buck 05. I can meet a man. I'll say it like this. In my single season, I've met guys. Guys we flirted, all that. I've met guys that I was genuinely interested in, and they were genuinely interested in me. But I had to be honest with myself. I had to be honest with myself and say, you do realize that getting with this guy means sacrificing your assignment. You do realize that, don't you? You do realize that what he wants and what you want are not one and the same. Right. What he wants a woman. He wants to deal with his childhood wounds, or he want to have a woman at home that can cook and clean and be married to him. I'm not called for that. I cook, I clean. I don't cook every day. I'm building, I'm doing other stuff. Now it's not to say I don't know how God's going, what God's gonna do. But what I do know is that I can't I can't and I won't sacrifice my assignment for my ring finger. I wish y'all could hear me. I wish y'all could hear me. I won't sacrifice my assignment just so I can have something on my ring finger and a hot pair of legs in the bed at night. Because I think that what people don't understand is that it is a miserable place to be outside of your assignment, regardless of whether you're married or not. It is a miserable place to be outside of your assignment, doing what you want to do, or doing what you learn to do, trying to be all those things for that person. It's a miserable place. Some of y'all, you're dealing with depression. You've been dealing with a lot of stuff because you got a call on your life and you can feel that thing rotting from within because you're letting it deteriorate. You're letting it decompose. You got a calling and you keep putting it off. You keep sitting back and saying, I'll get to it later. I just need a little bit more time. I don't feel like I'm ready. There is no such thing as being ready for your calling. You get ready as you answer it. Yeah, it doesn't start at home first. It starts between you and God. It starts between you and God. That's why God says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else will be added to you. It has to be a personal relationship between you and God. You have to get to the altar of salvation, then the altar of surrender before you get to the altar of marriage. You got to get to the altar of salvation, sacrifice, surrender. You got to get to those altars before you get to the altar of marriage, because then that other person, they may have a different assignment. I found that there are good people out there. They're godly people out there, but they got a different assignment. They got a different assignment. And if you marry somebody who has a different assignment, they're not wrong in the direction. He's not wrong in the direction he's trying to go in, and you're not wrong in the direction you're trying to go in. But you're going to be out of order because now you may have to sacrifice that so that you could be a helpmeet. You may have to sacrifice that. Consequently, you will spend your life. This is why you have so many women talking about men nowadays. These men, they selfish. No. The problem is we have a culture of not waiting. We have a culture. We're not obeying Matthew 6:33. We have a culture of me first, and then I'll give God what I got left. Me first, and then God gets my sloppy seconds. Me first, let me get me in the driver's seat. Let me get my man in the passenger seat, and God got to ride shotgun, but at least he in the vehicle. Then we get frustrated when we find out that if God ain't behind the wheel, that car gonna go out of control. You're gonna be all over the place. If God ain't behind the wheel, then what's gonna happen is you're gonna be driving down in the wrong direction. All chaos is gonna break loose. You're gonna go the long way. You're not gonna know the exits. You're not gonna know where God will want to take you, right? So you're gonna be out there getting revelation and understanding that you didn't necessarily need, because that's not really revelatory to your assignment. It's not something that you need for who you're called to be. It may be something the person in the vehicle needs, but it's not necessarily for who you're called to be. This is why you have so many women of old. They died. They lived the rest of their lives being miserable with the men that they chosen, being miserable. And I can tell you from experience, it is possible for somebody to be happy with you and you be miserable with them. Story of being a woman. If you married to the wrong person, story of a man too. It is possible for somebody to be satisfied with you and not have a single complaint about you. And you sitting there, but yeah, of course you don't. Literally, I'm trying to demonstrate to you. Like I'm everything you asked for and then some. Okay? Of course you don't have a complaint. Of course you don't want to break up because you're benefiting. But I'm telling you, I'm looking at this, and this is not an equal exchange. This is not an equal exchange. I'm looking at what you're pouring into me, and I'm pouring into you. I'm over here, and I'm over here, and I'm dumping out. I'm trying to be a blessing. Listen, I'm not just preparing the meal. I'm making sure I'm putting love into cooking it. I'm trying, but then whenever you cook, you're just gonna go get some frozen fish sticks and throw them in the oven. I cook for you. It's not the same. I went fishing. I caught the fish. I cut it up. I put the effort into it. I made sure I had the right seasonings. I made sure I had the right amount of seasonings. I made sure I did all of that. You went to the frozen food section at the store and got some fish sticks. And now you sitting up there and you done gave me some frozen fish sticks that you done heated up. And now you sitting up here and you're talking about, I don't know why you always complaining. I'm complaining because it's not the same. That's why a lot of fights happen. It's because you're giving more than you're receiving. And I just want to make it really clear. Marriage is not 50-50. All right, let's get that out the way. Marriage is a seesaw. Marriage is not 50-50. It's a seesaw. Let me use this because this is my dollar paper. Marriage is not 50-50. It's a seesaw. Husband is the head of the home. He's a protector, provider, all that stuff. That should be something that he takes pride in being or what have you. But you are help me. That means you ain't just there to have hips and look cute. Marriage is just like friendship. This is your seesaw. When you first meet a person, you're typically relative to them, which means you're like a straight line, or it appears to be a straight line. When you first meet people, it appears to be a straight line. Y'all, it just seems like you're mutually beneficial, right? Husband is the head of the home, so there's going to be a slight tilt. But if you're having to hold him up all the time and he's rarely ever holding you up, you got a problem. Marriage will look like this. Sometimes you got to hold him up, period. And it can be a season of holding him up. And then the next season, he's holding you up. That means it's not going to always be equal. There'll be times where he dealing with stuff on his job. Maybe he's not working. Maybe it's something going on and you're having to pour into him, encourage him. You're having to do all of those things, but that should not be perpetual. And the same thing is true on your end. Sometimes, you're going to have to hold him up. Sometimes he got to hold you up. But one thing you'll find, I discovered this in friendship and I discovered this in relationship. People who are always playing the victim do that so that they can stay at a place of receiving. People who consistently play the victim do that so that they can keep taking. You can't ask a victim, okay, what happened? Uncle Woody died. Crap. I hate to hear that. And that's fine because that could be a real thing. But then in some cases, they ain't had no relationship with Uncle Woody. They ain't had no relationship with Uncle Woody. Then when you sit up there, now you holding them up and you're trying to be there, you're trying to be supportive or what have you. Then as soon as that's over with, you're like, all right, so baby, stop. I'm having a hard time on my job. You know how my boss been doing or what have you. Now you're right back having to be the supporter. You're right back having to be the person encouraged. Same is true in friendships. You're having to do that. Then as soon as that storm is over with, you're like, okay, babe, I need. See, there you go being selfish again. You already know that there's been chaos in my family. My family's going through this and my family's going through that. Okay. Soon as you get past that, you come back and you're like, babe. He like, babe, I haven't been feeling well. I told you yesterday my stomach been hurting. I don't know what's going on with my stomach. And here you come with that stuff. That's a controller. That's a controller. That's a person controlling you. That's a person who is going to utilize the seesaw where you have to keep holding them up while they just keep riding and benefiting. You're going to be down here and you're going to have to keep holding them up. And as soon as you say, I need to be held up, there you go being selfish again. There you go. You don't care nothing about me. There you go. I've had friends like that. And I had to sit back and say, at what point do you become a friend? Because I'm literally tired of holding you up. Like, at what point do you not need me and I get to need you? At what point can I sit back and say, I need somebody to pour into me? I need somebody to talk to. At what point do I get that? No, that means that you're not a friend. You're not a friend. There should be this shifting, right? There should be this shifting. It should be a consistent shift. that you see. It should be, babe, I'm good. I gotta pay this bill. You sure? Let me. I gotta pay this bill. I got, boy. I'm gonna help me. I got it. Not another. Um, you already know my situation. I tolerated somebody like that for many years. I'm talking about as a friend. That stuff is draining. It's always my situation, my situation. They knew my situation. You know my situation. When does your situation shift so somebody can benefit from you? So you can become you can become a friend. When does your situation shift where people can say, "I'm grateful for you"? Right, takers. That's the consumer, just consuming, 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 and the other person is pouring, 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 and the whole time you're getting skinnier. You're just pouring out all your virtue, and you're waiting on them. Then they'll do one little nice thing for you, and then you're like, oh, and you make a big deal of that one little bit, that little one thing, and you just pouring, 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 pouring until they eat you up. So you got nothing left to give. You got nothing left to give. I'm saying that, and I got to get ready to get off of here because I said I wasn't going to be on here long, and I want to honor my word. I'm saying that to say, woman of God, man of God, child of God, you cannot marry anybody. Everybody ain't called to you. People are fun in the beginning of marriage. Beginning of relationships, beginning of marriage is fun. I've learned to not look at stuff from the beginning because that honeymoon period, what do you call that? That newlywed phase, that cloud nine phase, that thing's a doozy. It feel good. It's a doozy. But it's not going to last. It literally requires you putting effort and attention in. Effort, attention, and intention. It requires work. So when it starts to go down, that's a fire on your altar. And when the fire goes out, somebody's got to be constantly doing what it takes to light that fire back up. If you come and you get in contact with a man or a woman they're not consistent in anything in their lives, and if they haven't crucified themselves, then you know what? They got a cold, dead altar. There's not that much blood on their altar. So you're going to have to be the one constantly putting fire on that altar. And you're going to have to burn yourself and everything that you got on that altar trying to hold on to them. Well, and the whole time, they're not going to value the relationship as much as you are because you're putting valuable things on the altar, which causes you to value the relationship. They ain't put nothing on there. They're just benefiting. They're just benefiting and complaining and whining whenever you sit back and say something about them benefiting. They're just benefiting as soon as you say something. Notice this. Think of it this way. I'm going to help y'all real good. Y'all ready to be helped? Somebody say help. I'm going to help you real good. Show you gaslighting. Somebody goes into a store, right? They go into a store. And while they're in the store, they start stealing. You're an employee at that store. You walk up and you say what you got in your bag. What you mean what I got in my bag? You see that? Or you come up to them and say, hey, how you doing? Can I help you? No, I don't need no help. I didn't ask you. Well, that's what I don't like. I don't like when people doing that kind of stuff. They start gaslighting and screaming. Usually when they act like that, they're up to something. And that's what happens when you confront somebody when you're in a one-sided relationship. That's what happened. When you're in a one-sided relationship and you go confront somebody, that's what happens. When you're in a one-sided relationship and you sit up there and say, babe, I feel like I'm not getting enough out of this. Like you're benefiting, and I get it. And I know you're happy. Of course you're happy. I'd be happy with me too. But dude, when do I get happy with you? See, there you go again. Every time you look up, stuff be just fine between us. And then here you come again. You always got to start some mess. No, stuff is fine with you. It's not fine with me. I'm telling you, I'm putting forth effort and energy and resources into this, and I'm not getting anything in return. See, that's what I'm saying. Y'all women, y'all don't know what you got a good thing. You got a good man. I don't do nothing but sit here. Yeah, you sit here and play video games. Ain't no romantic about that. You sit here. I need more. I need time, attention. I shouldn't have to ask you to take me on a date. I shouldn't have to ask you to want to hang out with me. I shouldn't have to beg you. I shouldn't have to sit up there and you gotta I'll be in that 5 minutes. No, because right then and there you're telling me you prefer to be on a video game, and I'm getting on your nerves. And I don't think I don't I can't be the side chick to your video game. Sorry. I can't be a side chick to your video game. You gotta want to learn me. How is it that you mastering levels on a video game to the point where you can make money online, but you haven't mastered your wife? You haven't, because you secret to marriage, not just for men, and it's for women as well. If you learn to master your spouse, I'm telling you right now, a lot of it's mastering your spouse does isn't a demand for more quality time. Mastering your spouse is when you learn how, okay, he need me right now. Let me go hang out with him. Let me go hang out with him. I can go middle of the night talk if you want me to. It ain't 12 a.m., but I can go middle of the night talk. It's very similar. I don't know if I want to say that. I probably shouldn't say if I'm thinking about it. But anyhow, let's go. It's very similar. I work at nighttime. I work my schedule, the way that I'm wired, I work in the middle of the night. And I've had people to ask me. I remember I'll just say one time my sister in Christ asked me. She said, "How is it that you were married and you like going to bed at 5 and 6 a.m.?" I said, "Using wisdom. Using wisdom. Leave it at that. Using wisdom." It was a simple case of, okay, let me go take care of my husband right quick. He going to bed. When he get out of bed, I slip out of bed. Like a thief in the night. He didn't even know I was gone. He didn't even know I was gone. I slip out that bed. When you master that, you learn how I don't have to sacrifice this to be a wife. I just got to learn when to be I got to know, okay, this is a time for me to be a wife. Let me go be a wife right now. And so sometimes like a man can sit there and play a video game, give his tithe and his time to a video game and be sitting there paying that for 8 hours and start a fight when he could have actually just went and spent time with his wife for about an hour and a half. Who gonna call me a lie? Could have satisfied her in an hour and a half. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm not talking about sex. Just hanging out with her, just kicking it with her, what have you. Could have gave her her daily feel. Then could have went and played the video game. But when you don't know that, you see everything as control. When you don't learn how to master being, when you don't learn, not even master being married, because you can master being married to one person and you'll be whack with the other person. But you learn how to master being married to the person that you're with. It makes it so much easier. Friends sitting up there talking about some, man, we going here on tomorrow or what have you, right after work. And you happen to be a wise man and you say, all right, listen, what time you gonna meet there? 6. So we're gonna be there from about, yeah, typically it's like 6 to 11. I'll catch up with you guys about 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'll catch up with y'all about 7:30, 8 o'clock. Let me go home, make the wife happy. Let me go home and take care of my house first. Let me go home and make sure everything's good in my house first. Let me show intentionality. Let me show her that I want to spend time with her and that I prefer it. And if I don't come, then it is what it is. What you'll find is that she'll probably kick you out the house as soon as you get home. Boy, go on out there. I appreciate you. Thank you. No, I'm gonna be working on this gone. I got stuff that I can be working on gone. Because sometimes it's just knowing that the man want to spend time with you. It's just knowing that the woman wants it's just knowing. Sometimes it's just knowing that the person is not choosing somebody else over you. Come on, and we wired like our God. God don't want to be chosen second. Knowing that there is that respect there. Hey, I got you. I'll probably come kick it with y'all tonight, but let me go home right quick. And if I don't kick it out, I'll shoot you a text. You come home and your wife a lot of times will look at you and say, you're like, yeah, the guys are hanging out. They're going over here to this place. Okay. No, but I came home to be with you. Uh-huh. I appreciate you. Go ahead. I appreciate you. I really do. I really appreciate you. Thank you for being the amazing person that you are and for wanting to spend time with me. But no, go ahead. You see how that you see how that qualifies you to a whole week of just favorable treatment as opposed to starting a fight to pacify a bunch of dudes. What am I saying? You got to be careful who you say I do to. You got to be careful who you marry. You got to be careful whose last name you give, that whose last name you accept, and to the guys who you give your last name to. You got to be careful as it relates to that. Because you can mess around and marry the weapon that was formed against you. You can mess around and marry somebody who is antithetical to your purpose and your calling. You can mess around and marry somebody who wants to be normal when you're not called to be normal. And the thought of being anything outside of normal is terrifying to them, to the point where they have an explosive reaction. And you can mess around and marry somebody that's going to make you choose between your assignment and them. You can mess around, and I have seen this. I've counseled too many people in this situation. Mess around and marry somebody, and they say, Tiffany, every time I sit back and I want to start, let's say, a car dealership. I went and I started looking. She started biting. Tiffany, every time I start writing a book, he starts something. He leaves the house. I told you in the earlier parts, I said it got so bad to the point where I saw that so consistently that I had to pray. I said, Lord, what's happening? Why is it that it's hard to see a good woman and a good man come together? Two people who are about their father's business, that are intentional, that want to move forward, so that way they're not buzzing around a bunch of stupid stuff. But as soon as they get together, they take off on the ground running. I'm talking about building for your kingdom, laughing and enjoying. And God said it's because they didn't learn to love themselves. They have not fully crucified their flesh. And you got to hear me when I say this. And for those of you who got ears, you're going to hear what I say. You will always inherit another person's relationship with God. You will always experience their issues, which is why when you complain about them to God, he doesn't necessarily respond, because the stuff you complain about is the same stuff he's been dealing with for years. Now he's outside of time, so it's not to say that it's been, this thing, because this is the same thing. He like, who you telling? God, he ain't even, he don't care nothing about you. He don't want to read his Bible. He don't want to go to church. And God's like, you would have known that had you prayed before you got with him. You would have known that had you surrendered. If you hadn't been so desperate, if you weren't comparing yourself to your friend Keisha and everybody else, you would have known that had you not ignored my voice. You would have known that had you sought my voice, had you sought wise counsel. You would have known that if you wasn't rolling it in a circle with this dude before you took his last name. You would have known that. You didn't know that because it was all about you. And now when you get married, this is where we do things backwards. God says before. Somebody write before. God said before you build a thing. Before you build a thing, count the cost. Before. Before. That means I need to test the spirit. I need to look at the fruit of the spirit to see if they're in this life, or look and see if it's the works of the flesh. Before you build a thing, we do it tail backwards. You know what we do? We wait till we get married and then we start counting. He crazy. He did. Oh, I can't take this. It's too much. God's like, you would have known that had you count the cost. It's too much, God. He want to play his video game all day. I'm starting to think he got a bromance between him and his boy Tyrone, because he want to spend more time with Tyrone than he want to spend with me. And the man, God, what kind of man don't want to touch a wife? Lord, don't ever let me have a husband like that. What type of man? He just want to lay in the bed and go to sleep. I'm starting to think he need a blue pill, Lord. I don't know what to do. And then at the same time, God, he be farting in his sleep, and it makes it anti-sexy. And I'm just like, God, how am I supposed to do that? And then he wake up in the morning, and his breath be kicking. It just, it's God. I don't know. I don't know. He don't want to shower. He don't want to do nothing but sit up there. And then when he get out the bed, it always make the mattress lean. And then he get out the bed and what have you. Then next thing you know, he go to work and when he come back in the house, all he want to do is sit on the couch and watch TV. The couch got a dent in it from the side he watched TV on. There's dirt on the arm of the couch because he sits there all day and watches TV and farts and waits on and he never really want to cook. He want me to cook, and then at the same time, he keep making sandwiches between meals. And I'm trying to figure out how the heck you eating all that food. Where you putting it at? And God, it's a lot. Then when he get in the shower, it's like a dirt around the toilet because he don't like to get on. Then when he get on the toilet, when he get out the toilet, there's butt dust on the toilet. So I gotta sit there and dust the toilet off because I'm trying to figure out why we got flakes all over the toilet. What do you want? And God's like, people be mad at God because of stuff they could have prayed about in the beginning, but they didn't pray about, and then they found out because they didn't count the cost because they didn't see God, because they put themselves first. They didn't seek first the kingdom of God, and they didn't present their bodies as a living sacrifice. So consequently, they don't count the cost. They jump themselves in a relationship, and next thing you know, they find out. They mess around and find out. And they be sit up there like, God. And I don't know what else to do. And on top of all that, God, when he is ready to do something, he want to have nerves to try to last a minute and a half. I'm like, oh, I can't. And then you talking about be faithful. I'm being faithful, but how am I supposed to be faithful with this man? By the time I sit up there, he already done. I ain't even breathe the breath. It's over with. He's self-centered and he stank. He smell like, you call that stuff. He smell like sauerkraut and corn chips. And God like, what are you telling me? You telling me stuff I already know about him. Had you sought me, I would have told you. Did you catch that? You telling me what I already knew. Had you sought me, I would have told you. Had you sought me, I would have showed you. I woke up in the middle of the night, Lord. I caught him on FaceTime, and I was like, okay. I thought it was a bald head girl on the FaceTime. I thought he cheated on me. And I'm like, okay. I'm trying to pretend. You know how you do? You trying to pretend like you sleep or what have you. And then I'm trying to slip out the bed because it's dark in the room, and I see the light emit from the computer, and I can see this girl. And I noticed that he got the headphones on. And her voice sounded a little bit raspy, but I said, mm-mm. So I'm sitting up there because I noticed it. He ain't got no shirt on. He got his nipples hanging out on camera and stuff. And the girl, she don't look like she got a shirt on. And it looked like she was size A cup or what have you. Then I get out my bed and I come over to the computer and I get behind him. He don't hear nothing, but the guy on the camera happened to see me, and it turned out to be a whole dude. And I find out that he talking about he was just talking to the guy about insurance at 3 a.m. And then one of y'all got a shirt on. And why this dude got lip gloss on? And God's like, had you sought my face, we spend a lot of time revealing to God what he would have revealed to us. It's funny because we think we'd be telling God something new. We think we be telling God something new. And God's like, welcome to the party. Welcome to the party. Talking about he was trying to sell the guy some insurance at 3 a.m. with no shirt on, the dude wearing lip gloss, and it's got color in the lip gloss at the same time. And when I came up, the dude was licking his teeth. And I'm sitting up there like, who trying to buy insurance? But he talking about his dental insurance. That's why he was licking his teeth. I'm like, boy, I ain't no fool. Come on. You weren't watching porn. He was on FaceTime with some dude. Lord, I thank my husband. I don't know if he'd have bad or the picture. Either way, I don't want to be a part of this. And God's like, I said, before you build a thing, count the cost. Before, now you count it. You were so caught up on cloud nine and saying stuff you weren't supposed to be saying and doing stuff you weren't supposed to be doing that you were blinded to what I wanted to show you too. I wanted to show you. You were blinded, and now you walking around here talking about you hurt. Now you walking around here talking about you hurt because you find out that your husband, getting folded like a lawn chair at a state park, and you sit up there. I can't believe this. God's like, had you sought me? I tried to give you a warning. You didn't pay attention. I showed you when you was at the table when you went to lunch with him. That pinky finger came out just like that, but you didn't pay no attention. That pinky finger came out, and he was like, so that pinky finger was sticking right out there. You didn't pay no attention. You just was like, no attention. I tried to warn you. I'll tell you this conversation the sister in Christ and I had today, and then I'll get back into the lesson, and then I'm going to close. And I was going to close a long time ago. I always do this. I'm sorry, y'all. I told her, and this may be a little bit outside of what I was talking about, but we were talking, and I told her, I said, usually when a man is incredibly promiscuous, he is bisexual. Prove me wrong. It's not sexual, it's spiritual. I say usually when a man has trouble, and I'm not talking about just moderately culturally promiscuous or what have you. I'm talking about a dude that crawled out of one woman's bed into another woman's bed and into another woman's bed. It's like you can't help but to say he a hoe. I said I found in the majority of those cases, I said well over 90% of those cases, they slept with a dude. It's not sexual, it's spiritual. I said because it has nothing to do with just having sex. They're looking for something in the bedroom. Yes. They're looking for something. And I gave her 2 examples of some guys I knew back in the day, and I said they were like incredible hoes. I'm talking about they were just out there. I said I talked to my sister one day, and she said, you know, this guy, we'll make up a name for him. We'll call him we'll say Troy. You know, they say Troy been sleeping with men. I said, what? I said, I can't even say I'm too surprised. I remember the fact that I said that dude was going through women like it was nothing. Call me one other day about an ex-boyfriend of mine. We'll call him Tyrone. You know, they said Tyrone is kind of openly bi. I said, dang, I can't believe that. But I do remember that he told me once we had broke up and once we became friends and he felt like he could take his mask off, he told me he wanted to have babies with a lot of different women from around the world. He said that's his dream. He wanted to go to different countries and have babies with different women. I said, and that dude was like, I said, he just had it bad. Just sleeping with woman after woman after woman after woman. They are so sexually bound that they'll try anything. They'll try anything. And I said this to my sister in Christ. I said, it usually started off with just sleeping with a lot of women. Then there's going to be some porn watching and stuff like that. I said, but then whenever they come in contact with a man, typically they won't usually go after a man who's blatantly looking like a man. They'll usually go after a man who's disguising himself as a woman or a transsexual man, and they'll mess with him. And they'll try to pretend they don't know the person is bi or transsexual or what have you. They'll try to pretend, but eventually they'll go blatantly into it. You can even tell me I was wrong. Right. That urge, because there's that curiosity, because that's how they look at women. When they're looking at women, they're curious. I wonder what she's like. Oh man, she got a badunkadunk. I wonder what she's like. Oh, she got them bedroom eyes. I wonder what she's like. They keep looking. It's just be this sexual curiosity. And at some point they're gonna look at a dude and say, I wonder what it's like to I wonder what is I wonder what that's like. I'm curious. I wonder what that's like. So before long, they off, because that's what perversion is designed to do. Perversion is designed to grow, not to stabilize. Perversion grows. It starts off as a tiny seed, and then it spirals out of control. And anything you feed grows, anything you starve dies. So if somebody's constantly feeding their perversion, that same is true for a woman. I told her, I say same is true for a woman. If a woman keep going out there, if you got a woman that get in a relationship and then she's promiscuous and she cheating, she just going after sleeping with woman after woman after woman after woman after woman. I mean, after man after man. Sorry, she's sleeping with man after man after man after man. She gonna mess around with women as well because she's sexually curious. That's how perversion works. It's never fully satisfied. Perversion, just remember this: perversion is curious. That'll save your life. Perversion is curious. Perversion never says, "I want to have another." This perversion says, I wonder. I wonder. His car goes out. Love it. Perversion says, I wonder what that's like. Hmm. Perversion says, I want to go to OnlyFans and download some toe pics. Perversion had people in their basement lit up with a right. Perversion got people. I feel sorry, children, animals, any perversion has no limitation. That's why you don't feed it. Because it'll grow like a wildfire. It grows, it starts off as a little match, and then it's gonna grow, it's gonna grow, it's gonna grow, it's gonna keep finding things to incinerate it, and it's gonna grow and grow until it gets out of control. Right? They make jokes about it until it gets out of control, and before long, the person is consumed by lust. Before long, you got people walking around and in grocery stores and what have you, doing crazy stuff. Oh yeah, they'll do animals. They'll do inanimate objects. Folks will go outside and do a tree. If they find they'll do anything because perversion is never satisfied. It never says enough. It's always this sexual curiosity. Somebody who has extreme perversion, they don't cast down imagination. The Bible says casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God and bringing into captivity every thought to obedience to Christ. They don't do that. They just let the thought play. It's like for me, if my Facebook page is pretty good now. But there was a time on Facebook when you could scroll and somebody's video come up, and as you're scrolling, the video it'd be on autoplay or what have you. I've had times where I was scrolling Facebook and somebody's video was on autoplay, and it would be something like, and I'm like, whew. So if there's something I don't want to see, I'm gonna scroll past it, quick, fast, and in a hurry, or what have you. I'm gonna delete the person too if it's perverted. But that's the thing with perversion; they don't scroll by. With perversion, they say, "I wonder." Because it's a spirit, and spirits have no stomach. They have no ability to be filled. They can only take authority. They take authority, like when you go into sin, you relinquish your authority, and they can take your authority from you. The authority to them feels like calories. It feels like energy. It energizes them. It makes you weaker while it makes them stronger. And so the enemy, the Bible says, casting down imagination, like the movies that play in our heads. We're supposed to fight them. We're supposed to cast them down. But when a person is dealing with perversion, they don't cast it down. They just let the movie play. They just let it play. And what it does is, you guys know how sin works. Sin incites pleasure, right? Sin incites pleasure. They get addicted to the feeling. They start loving the pleasure, all the pleasure aspects of it, what have you. And they make pleasure an idol, and then at the same time they try to find some type of way to you know bring God into the equation to try to stay so they don't go to hell. But for the most part, they are slaves of pleasure. They're slaves of pleasure, and then Satan keeps bringing new stuff in. It's kind of like a drug addict. Drug addict can start you off with marijuana. I don't know what they call it now, weed, what have you. They can start you off, and then they can lace your marijuana, and then they can get you onto something a little bit light, and then slowly but surely they'll lead you over to something stronger and stronger. At some point, every time you're taking stuff, it no longer has a bearing on you. It no longer has a long lasting effect on you. It takes more for you to get high, and then they can introduce you to something that takes a moderate amount to get you high, and that thing feels a little bit better because taking drugs, that's pleasurable. It's pleasurable to people, right? They feel pleasure when they take it. It helps them to escape. They feel pleasure, and that's how sin is. Sin is pleasurable. It distracts you from your reality. It distracts you from your calling. It distracts you from your woes and your issues, your responsibilities. It distracts you from that, and it allows you to just kind of get lost in pleasure. We were designed to get lost in purpose, and then we have moments of pleasure and purpose. And within the covering of God. We're within the will of God. But somebody who's in perversion, they get lost in pleasure, but they have moments of purpose. They get lost in pleasure, but they have moments of purpose. They get lost in doing what they want to do, doing what feels good to them. They get lost in that, and then they have moments filled with purpose. Moments where they'll say, "Well, I go to church. I read my Bible. I'll do this. I'll do that." But they are dominated by thoughts of perversion. Who to sleep with? People like that will sleep with prostitutes. Um, they'll sleep with just about anybody. They'll sleep with just about anybody because they have become slaves to their body parts. They become slaves of pleasure, and they just want to pleasure themselves. That's it. They just want to get the pleasure. What have you? They may feel guilt after the fact. Guilt after sin is an indicator that you have not yet been turned over to a reprobate mind. So you still have space to repent. Yeah, they will jump you if you give in to the tiny space. Yes, 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 yes. I told this story. I don't know if it's related to this, but when I was going through a divorce, and this is back in like 2006, 2007, there was this man trying to talk to me. And this is probably not related to it, but I'm just kind of related to that comment. But this guy, he was trying to talk to me. He was older. He was a cop. It's not the other, not the stalking cop. This is a dude. And the reason I won't even talk about the reason I entertained him because my brother had went to jail. And I made it clear. I told him I was going through a divorce, so I made it clear like I couldn't be in a relationship with him. Nothing ever happened between me and him. No sex, no kissing, no none of that. But I did let him come to my house. I did go to his house. I hung out with him, but I was really kind of quiet every time around him. I wouldn't say much of anything because he was too old for me. I wasn't interested in him because of his age. And at the same time, I kept reiterating that I was going through a divorce and I wasn't ready for a relationship or anything like that or what have you. So long story short, we end up he wanted me to go out to eat with him one day. I told the story before. He wanted me to go out to eat with him. I kept saying no. I kept making excuses because I wanted to kind of get it in his head that I wasn't going to be in a relationship with him. Finally agreed. He said to me one day, and I was hungry and I didn't have no money. He said, we can go out of town to Captain D's. I said, okay. He said we can go to the city over and we can go, out to eat in the city over. I don't think he said Captain D's. I think he said we can go out to eat in the city over. And we can go somewhere that way you won't be seen. Because I told him, I said, I was going through a divorce. And I said, if I'm seen, he can get me for adultery. Even though he the one that's committing it, but that can fall on me. But that was just me trying to make an excuse, to be honest with you. But when he said, hey, we can go to a city over, I said, okay. We got over there. Somehow we decided to go to Captain D's. We get up in the Captain D's. There was a gay guy behind the register, right? Guy, if you looked at him, he didn't look like how you would think a gay man. He looked like a thug. He looked like a hardcore thug. When you went up, he was really flamboyant and what have you. So we go up there to order our food, and the cop, we'll call him Randy. That's fitting for him. The cop, I know, the cop sits there and he starts treating the guy really bad. I'm against homosexuality, but I would never mistreat anybody. I will love. It don't matter what sin you're in. I'm gonna love you because I don't think homosexuality. I know it's a sin, but just like fornication is a sin as well. So I can't mistreat that person that's in homosexuality and then treat the fornicator well. It just doesn't work like that. So I'm gonna love you all. That period, point blank. When the guy was ordering the food, he was being kind of harsh with the guy. Like he was the cop guy, Randy. He's being harsh with the dude. And he said, do cops get a discount? And the guy was like, and he was asking it as he was walking away. And the guy was like, yes, but, and before he could say anything, he's walking out. He says, sir, you got to be wearing uniform, sir. He kept walking. I was at a restaurant with a black Karen. Okay. Anywho, I started apologizing to the guy. I'm so sorry. The guy comes back into the restaurant with his badge. And the guy said, sir, what I was trying to tell you when you're walking out, and not only he coming there with his badge, he does this right here. Throws his badge on the counter to the guy. That's an indicator that that man dealt with some homosexuality. He's bisexual himself. Because you ain't got to mistreat nobody to prove that you're against this thing, right? Sorry. So he throws his badge, and the guy said, and he was like, no, that he said, I asked you. He said, I was telling you. This dude up here making a fuss in Captain D's because he wanted a discount at Captain D's. We wanted no 5-star restaurant. We were at Captain D's. We were at Captain D's. We were at Captain D's. That ain't sitting there for some of y'all, so I'm gonna move on. We were at Captain D. I'm gonna say it again. And he sits back, and the guy gets his manager. This dude's standing next to me, and he's being rude. He's being rude. He was like, I'm a cop. He said, what does it matter if I'm off duty? I'm a cop. He just being rude. I literally, you can see the people preparing the food. They're preparing and turning around. I said, excuse me, that number one belongs to me. If y'all gonna spit in anything, spit in the other one. The number one belongs to me. I'm so sorry for this. I literally told them that I was embarrassed. Finally, we go. I was embarrassed. Finally, I don't think he got a discount. I don't remember what happened. We go to our seats. And he looked and he said, I hate people like that. I said, who? He said, him. I said, why? He said, you know, he gay. I said, okay. I said, so let me ask you a question. He said, what's that? Now he eating his fish, trying to be all cocky, trying to be all masculine. What's that? I said, if I went back to your place and I stripped down naked and I got in your bed, what would you do to me? I asked him just like that. I said, what would you do? He said, I get in the bed. I said, what would you do to me? He said, what you mean I want to do? You know what I'll do to you. I said, I'm going to ask you again. If we went to your place and I went in your house and I stripped down naked and I got in your bed, what would you do? He said, I make love to you. I said, okay, your hair won't be any hotter than his. I said, your hair won't be any hotter than his. In other words, you going against the will of God. Come on. I said, I'm not married to you. Trying to see the comment I was responding to, but just so I could try to figure out what my point was. But I was like, your hair won't be no hotter than his. Your hair won't be any hotter than, I told him, I said, your hair won't be any hotter than his. I'm sitting up there thinking to myself, if I already didn't like this guy because he's too old, you did not, that does not impress somebody with brain cells. If she done surrendered her brain cells to marijuana and stuff like that, and she ain't got none left, she might be impressed with some stuff like that. Hating somebody, mismanaging people does not impress me. Now, it doesn't impress somebody who has their brain cells intact. I respect my brain cells, okay? And I wasn't about to incinerate them trying to entertain somebody who felt the need to prove that he was heterosexual by mismanaging somebody, by mistreating somebody. Not that serious. I sure did. I asked. I asked him directly. I said, "That's your question." And looked him straight in his eye. I said, If we were to go back to your place, what would you do? He was getting unhappy over there. He was thinking, oh, dang, it's finally going to happen. It never happened. It wasn't going to happen. It never happened. It wasn't going to happen. So the point of tonight's message is this. I came on here to invite y'all into the mentorship program. For those of you who have not signed up, get in there. I'll talk to you real short, but I just want to kind of close this off, and then we're going to get into that vein. I want to close this off with this. If you don't know who you are in Christ Jesus, it ain't time for you to date. If you don't know your assignment, your calling, it's not time for you to date. Because when you start knowing your assignment and calling, you're less likely to want to date because you start realizing I can't be with anybody. Like, he cute, I like him, he's cool, and there's so many things about him that I think would be awesome as it relates to marriage. However, I cannot ignore that this would be detrimental, that would be detrimental. I don't care how I like a man or who I like. At the end of the day, if he ain't for me, I have to accept that. I mean, I don't have to. I can sit there. I can go the long way to the truth, or I can go the shortcut. The shortcut is just really acknowledging it and stepping back. The long way is not acknowledging it and saying, "Let me see for myself." I always give this because I think this is really important. I think this is gonna help somebody on here. You got two types of weights that you're gonna do in this life. You can either wait in the dashboard, or you can wait um inside the program. In the dashboard, this is before, right? The testing phase, you can wait there and you'll be lonely. You can get over loneliness, you can get delivered from loneliness, you can get into your purpose. You can watch everybody get married and have babies before you. You can cry it out, you can pray it out and all that other stuff. And then in due season, God comes and he brings the right person, and your marriage is healthy with that person. Your marriage is happy with that person. And when you get married, you'll look around and all those people that you were looking up to, that a lot of times they're going through divorce. They fighting like cats and dogs. Or you can be just like them and you can jump straight into the process without having gone through beta testing. And you can get your man right now for $7.99, or you can get your woman right now for $7.99. And then you can find yourself later on. And while you're with this man, while the other girl in the dashboard waiting, while allowing God to process her healing, getting delivered, getting a revelation of who she is by getting a revelation of who God is, she's going through her process. Or you can be out there chasing what you want first, and then you get the man, you get the house, you get the car, you get the babies, and then you sit there in misery, waiting on him to get delivered, waiting on him to get healed, waiting on him to be able to see you, because God won't reveal you to him even if you marry him, and God won't reveal her to you even if you marry her, because you're not going to force God's hand. You ain't gonna force God's hand. Sorry. You're not going to force God's hand. It doesn't matter how much you try. You can go out here and marry the wrong. I can go get the wrong man right now and say, God, okay, I'm married now. But you know what? It seems that we're fighting. He keeps on attaching some character to me, that some characteristics and traits that don't even belong to me. He's misinterpreting who I am. He's misinterpreting my behaviors. And God says, I know. He still got a wrong soul tie with his mother. He's still cleaving to his mother. Defining you by the fact that you're a woman. He's defining you based on his mother's characteristics, because he doesn't know how to interpret your behavior, because the only behavior he's seen with women is women like his mother, because he was still attracted to them, because that was a part of his healing process. He was supposed to go to his mama, but he kept going to women that reminded him of his mama. So he kept going after Jezebel, and he was broken. And so now he can't see you. And I said, God, can you help him? God said, I'm not giving him revelation of who you are until I give him a revelation of who I am. And he don't want a revelation of me right now. So if I gave him a revelation of who you are, I put you in danger. Because then he'll idolize you. I can't give him a revelation of you until he gets a revelation of me. Well, how long is it gonna be till he wants it? But God, I don't think he wants a revelation of you. He doesn't. So how long? Okay, can you give me an estimate about how long before he gets a revelation? Um, his deathbed in 2064. When he's on his deathbed, he want to go to heaven. He'll call my name. So you mean to tell me I gotta wait till 2064? You're gonna be miserable with him. But hey, you got your man. Verily, you have your reward. You got unlimited access to penis. You got a pair of warm thighs. You got a person to share space with, and you get to take pictures with somebody on Facebook and post it to Instagram and Facebook, and you got all that. You got your reward. But in the process of it, you sacrificed your peace. You sacrificed your calling. You sacrifice all of that just so you can have a man. Or you sacrifice all of that just so you can have a woman. You can wait in the dashboard, you can wait in the process. In the dashboard, you're just getting over yourself. In the dashboard, you can cry, God, I'm sorry. I don't know. Okay, I know I'm not, okay, God, I know I choose you first, but I'm just struggling. And it's just one of those days, and God help me. And you can go through that process and say, God, I renounce idolatry. Then you get up Tuesday. Okay, I think I got to renounce it again, God, because I feel like that thing waking up. God, but you know what, God, I don't want to put people first before you. Deliver me from my mama's demons. Deliver me from my grandmama's demons. Deliver me from my granddaddy's demons. I don't want that stuff. I don't want those issues. You can get in the dashboard and you can cry out to God every time you feel lonely. You can be in the dashboard and you can cry out to God every time you feel like you don't know how to do it alone. You can cry out to God and stop comparing yourself. Or you can come out the dashboard and you be just like everybody else. You can come out the dashboard and you can have your man. Problem is, God won't give him a revelation of you. So you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to tell him who you are and how you are. He ain't going to hear you. He don't have ears to hear. Because you got ears to hear. The ears to hear are opened by God. That's a revelation of Christ. He don't have ears to hear. Sister Erica, you're awesome. I love you, sis. God bless you. Amen. He doesn't have ears to hear. So there are women, hey, they're going to get the man, period, point blank, and they'll be miserable. They'll be miserable. And they'll be living in hope. But hope deferred makes the heart sick. They'll be living in hope. He's going to change. I'm telling you, Bubba said Jesus in his sleep. You sure he just wasn't calling the Lord's name in vain? I mean, he cussed behind it. Girl, he was having sex in his sleep. That was his spirit wife. I'm sorry. I've seen this repeatedly where people that don't wait, they'll come and say, will the narcissist get delivered? Is there any deliverance for the narcissist? How long? Because they're in agony. And they don't know how to walk away. They don't know how to, because they're pulled by all of these cords, all these strings, these soul ties. They're just held tight. Then you got the other men and women on the other end who are happy and single and at peace. It's not to say they don't want to be married. It's just that they realize that, hey, I need God to pick my spouse for me. I need God to get in this for me. I need God. I ain't trying to do this by myself. Because you know what? When I look at my track record, I suck at picking a spouse for myself. I do. I don't know about y'all. I suck at it. That's why I ask God. I suck at it. I can be a little bit hardcore when I want to be, but I still suck at it. I look at my history, and my history tells me you need the Most High God. You better have wise counsel. All that. I suck at it. And because I know I suck at it, I know to pray. Because I know I suck at it, I know to surrender to God. Because I know I suck at it, I know I need to have wise counsel. I suck at it. That's why I tell a guy now, and I'm gonna go, y'all. I tell a guy now, if I exchange number with a guy, I'll tell him real quick, I don't want to hurt you. You know what I mean by that? The minute I realize you're not the one, I don't. The minute I realize you're not him, the minute I realize that you are an assignment against my destiny and my calling, the minute I realize that Me being with you is antithetical to my purpose. The moment I realize I ain't gonna stick around to try to, because I'm at that stage where I don't want God to have to come down and say, "Didn't I show you?" And I'm like, I know, but God, it's been so long. Mm-mm. I respect y'all. Got to hear me when I say this, because I hope this burns somebody's chest. I respect my assignment. I respect my calling. Some of you don't respect the mantle on your life. You don't respect it. This is why you keep entertaining people that you know ain't the one. You entertain people because you are literally willing to choose a relationship over your assignment. Remember, I said that the unfaithful servant, the parable of the talents, the parable of the unfaithful servant. One had 5 talents, one had 2, one had 1. The unfaithful servant buried his talent. He didn't get in trouble for what he did. He got in trouble for what he did not do. You got assignments, and you're choosing men or you're choosing women today. You're choosing people. You're choosing sex. You're choosing pleasure over your assignment. You're choosing pleasure over your assignment. Hey, who don't like pleasure? But I come to learn that I can have my assignment and pleasure too. But the pleasure part has to wait. Not the sexual pleasure and all that. I have pleasure as a single woman, and I'm not talking about sexually. I'm talking about doing all my assignments that God has given me, the stuff He's trusted me with, the stuff that He's trusted me with, that He's entrusted me with. I have pleasure doing the will of God. I have pleasure doing the will of God. All right, let's close this. Let's close this. I want to ask a question, and then I got to get out of here. Because me talking about doing the will of God, I realize I got 3 books that I need to be up there working on. Three things I need to be up there working on. I love it. I mean, call on Him. Okay. If you heard this message and you feel like you need more of this, I'm gonna post. I posted up the link. I'm gonna post it up again. This is the link. I need you to go register. Saturday at 9 p.m. I'm going to be interviewing some people to be a part of my mentorship program. If you want to be a part of the mentorship and you want to hear messages like this every Wednesday night at 9 p.m., that's when we meet up. We have a message board or what have you. If you would like to be a part of the mentorship program, I want you to go and audition. I changed the mentorship program, whereas you can't just audition. You can't just register anymore. You literally have to be called in by invite. So usually if you sign up and say, "Hey, I want to be a part of the mentorship program," then there's an interview process just to make sure that that you're ready for mentorship, that you're ready, that you're intentional, what have you. So if you would like to be a part of the call is absolutely free, but the mentorship is not. Let me make that clear. The call is going to be Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. I sent out the first email tonight with the call-in information. If you want to come on to that interview so that you can apply to be a part of the Vision program, get on there. The Vision program, get on there. Make sure you sign up. What's going to happen is after the fact, some of my team leads, I've asked them to be on the call as well. So depending on how many people are on the call, you may find yourself. We're going to have a public thing where I'm going to talk. Then I'll answer some questions. Then I may put you in rooms with some of the team leads so that they can answer any questions that you may have about the program. The program is going to do a relaunch on June 6th. No, June 7th. June 7th, but you will have to register before then to be a part of the program. Listen, let me tell you a little bit of something, and I need you to hear me clearly. I understand the fear of getting into a program like that. I understand the reservation because anytime we get ready to do a new thing, there's that fear of what if I fail? What if I quit? What if I'm not consistent? I haven't been consistent. You break curses by doing. You break curses by doing. Do you have to be delivered already? No, my students go through deliverance every quarter. That's one of the benefits of the program. Every 3 months, we have deliverance. every 3 months. We just had our deliverance about 3 weeks ago. We just had our deliverance about 3 weeks ago. So every 3 months, every quarter, once a quarter, the students go through deliverance. Once a quarter. We have a message board program, all that. And then we're getting ready to go on a cruise for the students that are willing, the students that want to go on a cruise. We're getting ready. We travel every year. So if you feel like God has called me to pour into your life to what have you, then right, nothing to lose, everything to gain. If you feel like you have been called to walk with me, be sure to sign up. Be sure to sign up. And like I said, if we deem that you are healthy enough, when I say healthy enough, I'm talking about mentally stable enough. Because if you come in there talking about a third eye and all that other stuff, I'll be like, keep watching me on YouTube because I want to make sure you go through a process. But if we deem that, then we'll extend an invitation to you, and then you'll have an amount of time to go ahead and register and pay the registration fee or what have you. But it's going to officially be June 7th, but we're having a call this Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be on Zoom. Oh, awesome. Come on, come on. You can still join. It will be on Zoom, and please hear me. Yeah, you could join on your 18th birthday. I just thought about that. But you will be, it will be via Zoom. Please hear me. We do cameras on. I'm just kind of giving you a head up. The email, I mentioned that in the email I sent out today, but it will be cameras on. That means I don't let people come into the program. My students, when we meet up every Tuesday, we have our cameras on. So you can't come into the program and rebel. Please hear me when I say that. Because I've never understood people that come into programs and then they start trying to rebel against the stuff that you have. Another thing that you have to have is a Facebook page. In order to get into the community, you have, because our community is on Facebook. So you don't have to utilize an old Facebook of yours. You can create something new. If you don't want nobody to find you, hide it. But you need that so that you can be a part of your group messages and stuff like that. I say that because we've had students that came in and we've made that clear, and then they came in and then threw a temper tantrum talking about, I ain't got no Facebook. And I'm like, okay, it's pretty, create one. Well, I don't want, I'm trying to stay on Facebook. You don't have to create the old profile you had. Create another profile and just use your name. Hide yourself so your friends and family can't find you or your ex can't find you. And then just join it's so simple to me. When I tell you it's so simple to me, and it shows me how complicated humans can be, because they will sit there and start a fight about that kind of stuff. Well, I don't know if this is right for me because I can't get on Facebook. I'm like, spirit of rebellion. Spirit of rebellion. Ooh, you cut out a bullshit out. Out in Jesus' name. Out, come out in Jesus' name. So I'm saying that to say I would love, love, love to have the opportunity to mentor you. I do want you to get past your fear. I want you to get past your fear, register, come in. And so basically what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be teaching, not teaching. I'm going to come on there and I'm going to talk about the program. I'm going to talk about what happens in the program. I'm going to talk about the different packages and all of that. And then we're going to get ready to open up the floor for questions and all that. And we may do, I don't know if we're going to do, it depends on how many people. I don't know if we're going to be doing, how we're going to do the interviews. But if we decide that, hey, you ain't crazy, you good, then and we feel like you're ready, you're mature enough to participate in the program, you will get an email with an invitation saying, hey, you've been accepted, we will love. And so to start the process, then click here, you can go ahead and register. Last thing I want to go ahead and mention, because this is the reason I did this thing. Like, I was going to come out tonight. Honestly, I was supposed to come out here and just really promote this, but I don't like just promoting stuff. I always want to make sure that I'm giving something before I promote. And I'll be doing this again on tomorrow. I'll be coming out tomorrow and promoting, but I'll do a teaching on top of it. But register for it, because Saturday we're going to come into that. I also want to make sure that I mention that if you're easily offended, I don't mind you coming into the program as long as you're willing to be submissive, to practice submission. One thing I would not allow people to do is come in and abuse my team leads. To come in and mismanage the people that's in there. I don't tolerate that kind of crap. I just don't. So this is for those of you who feel called. Maybe you feel called to me, or you feel called to ministry. There are a lot of things that we're learning. You'll learn every Wednesday night we come out and I teach. Every Wednesday night we come out. The link I'll post it again. Every Wednesday night. So look in the comments. Every Wednesday night I come out, I teach or what have you. Like I said, we have quarterly deliverance. We have a message board. We're doing videos on the message board. We have community. You will meet people that you're gonna like family. You'll start building family with. It's a beautiful thing. And then if you come on a trip with us, because I can tell you, me and my students, we go on a trip every year. We do something every year. You would definitely form some bonds. I love the bonds that we found formed up in there, the different personalities and all the fun that we have. We're always laughing, we're always having fun, and we're being supportive. So don't complain about not having community, don't complain about not having friends or what have you. When here's an opportunity extended to you, is up to you to become a part of it or what have you. Get past your fears, get past your insecurities, and say, you know what, I'm going to give this to myself as a gift. Mwah. That's all I got. I'm gonna post the link one more time. I'm gonna try to make sure I post it in the comment section too, because I keep forgetting to do that. But I love y'all, and right, fellowship. It is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I love y'all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.